Richard, thanks for talking to us on this Northwest 200 podcast. What is it about this event that keeps bringing you back?
I guess if you could see the smile on my face, it would sort of explain really why I keep returning. It's something that I've been doing since 2019 with great teams, and it's always made my journey and my experience that little bit easier with the guys I've been working with over the years. That has enabled me to come back and be successful and competitive, which is one thing I enjoy being, regardless of whatever class I choose to be in. Sitting here looking at the Northwest 200 trophy, I have a trophy for every single class I've ridden in, race wins and podiums and thirds, and I'm always hungry for more, and I always feel I've got more to give.
You mean you seemed to click with this event right from the moment you arrived?
Yeah, like I said, I came with a good team year one with Hawk Racing, and my first day on track, I completed I think 19 laps in the dry, and I was pretty confident of where I needed to go at that point. Yes, my racecraft wasn't quite there. I still had to learn that, especially lap one when you're in a bunch of riders heading down to university at 200 mile an hour is quite something special. And I wasn't prepared for that at the time. But as the week built on, I got myself in a better position. And, year one, we came and achieved a podium in the Superstock race. Fastest ever newcomer to date. It was something that we managed to tick off quite quickly, and pretty proud of that. And from that, I've learned, I've built experience, and I'd like to say I've become a contender regardless.
You certainly have. 17 podiums in total, 7 race wins. You're starting to rack up the success at the event, aren't you?
Yeah, I mean, you look at the success rate of the riders that you're competing against, and there is nobody that you couldn't really list off like that, and say that they got lucky, because everyone's working hard for it. I believe, Alistair Seal is a great example for the amount of wins he's had around here. But just recently, he's found it as a little bit more difficult than the previous years. The competition rises each year, the bikes get better, the teams find more improvement, and you have to move along with those times. And for myself, sticking with the teams I ride for, I have great trust in them that they're always going to provide me with the machinery to be competitive, and the rest is always down to me at that point.
Just how many controversies have you been involved in at the Northwest 200?
There's, like I say, I think there's 7 wins, 17 podiums, probably 4 or 5 controversy, different race results. There's been some that have been rewarded back to me 2 years later. There's been some that perhaps people had different opinions on my take on the last chicane. I didn't go into that chicane believing that I was going to take the grass, and I was quite thankful when I actually landed and realised I was still on the bike and managed to come out. And yes, I won the race. I didn't by all means mean to do that, but it was a talking point. I think the fans enjoyed it. I do believe there's no publicity is bad publicity, whichever way you word it. So it's part of it. We enjoy doing it. Puts a smile on people's faces.
It certainly does. On that last chicane, that Bet McLean or Juniper chicane, it's a really exciting finish to the Northwest 200. Now it's become a very tactical part of the race, hasn't it?
Yeah. I mean, I tell myself every year to find my braking marker, find the limit, in practice, and figure out how far you can actually go. And you set yourself a marker, a board, or some sort of marking, so you realise that this is the limit, this is where I need to go to. Yeah, every Saturday afternoon when you get in that last race, you go sailing past that marker and you expect to stop at the same point as you did the lap previous, but it doesn't happen. But we push the limits, and sometimes we go beyond them. Sometimes we can make it happen, and it's one that not just myself, but in the past it's brought up different results, and sometimes you get lucky, sometimes you don't.
And do you enjoy the respect that I seem to think all the riders have with one another, even when things like that happen?
Yeah, I mean, heat of the moment, you are in it for yourself, you know, and you're only, especially for me, my full focus is win at all costs, you know. But if there was the outcome was, you know, the wrong way, let's say, and there was an incident, for sure, you know, I wouldn't want to bring any harm to anybody. If you just look at the last Super Twin race, which was directly after the Supersport race, Adam McLean crashed on the exit of the Juniper chicane, and I got caught up in his accident, and you know, was both sidelined. He was so apologetic to me, and I said, look, Adam, don't worry. You know, we're both standing at the side of the track. Yes, we've got two broken motorbikes, but fundamentally, we're all right. You know, we've walked away from this, you know, scratch free, and I didn't blame him. It was just one of those racing incidents. So, Supersport race, the race before, I got away with it. You know, Super Twin race, I didn't get away with it, and that's just racing.
And I suppose a racer's mentality is you don't think about the crashes, you just think about being able to focus on winning.
Yeah, absolutely. And it's such a tricky one because the Northwest can throw up a race where you think you're in control of the situation to finding yourself not in control of the situation when, you know, more riders get involved and the slipstream becomes a massive effect. For myself, I just like to focus on what I'm doing in the race, unaware of the people around me, you know, and just make sure I'm in a good position when it comes to the last chicane, or whether it be Black Hill or, you know, any of those corners. Metropole, for instance, they always used to say that Metropole, it could be one or last into Metropole, but we all know now that there's still plenty of opportunities after that corner.
What's it like when you all are slipstreaming together, 160, 70, 80, 190 miles per hour? It looks so graceful from the air, but down on the track, what is that experience like? Because people find that a mind-blowing thing when they watch it.
Yeah, I think as a rider, when you're on your own, the road becomes quite wide and you can pick your point. Now, as soon as you're in a slipstream, the road becomes very narrow and you can't see where you need to be. And it's very easy just to wander off. And then as the road camber drops towards the edge of the track, you've got to be careful that, you know, you don't start veering off into the edges type thing. So road awareness is something you have to be very critical of when you're in that slipstream. So when you're riding with the top level riders, I think we're all on the same page as far as awareness is concerned. I think if you was in the mid pack would be more where I won't say where the danger would lie, but the unassurance of the riders around you of what they're going to do. I can always pretty much predict what Alistair Seeley or Peter Hickman is going to do at that time, because they'll do what I'm going to do, you know. So that you ask anybody, one of the easiest races is the race that you won. One of the hardest races is the race where you finish 7th or 8th, you know, and that's because the battle becomes a different battle, because you're trying to get track position, whereas when you're the lead group, which is why I focus on myself so much during the week, and I make sure I don't waste a single lap when I'm there from Tuesday onwards. You know, I make sure that I make every lap count. That's because I want to put myself in the best position when it comes to Thursday night or Saturday.
And when you're leading a race, can you almost feel the guys coming behind you? I mean, are you aware of where they are in relation to you?
Yeah, absolutely. Especially with the noise of the bikes now. Super Sport class, for instance, we have a triple, a twin, an inline four. You know, you can determine who's with you, especially the Ducati. You know when that's with you, and it gives you it's like an extra sixth sense, if you like, of just who's in the battle. And yeah, it's something that you feel them pulling you back, which is quite frustrating because I'm the lighter rider, you know, as far as horsepower is concerned. I have a good bike, and when your bike starts to be pulled back from the slipstream, you think, yeah, you know, who could this be that's managed to keep up with me at this point? So yeah, but that's the Northwest all over. You know, it's the slipstream is a massive part of it, and it's probably one of the most exciting parts of it. Yeah,
and when you're behind someone and you're in their slipstream, what's it like when you pull out of their slipstream to go past?
You know, there's two versions of it really. Sometimes you could pull out the slipstream and immediately pass the person, or sometimes you pull out the slipstream and you just sit at the side of them, and there's nothing more you can do. And you've caught the person from 2 or 3 seconds back from the slipstream, and you've got alongside them, and you've hit a brick wall, and you're both doing the same speed. And now all you're waiting for is the person at the side of you, whichever side it may be, or both sides, because sometimes we're 3 abreast. You are anticipating when they might break, because to become the latest breaker, we can't always be somebody's got to give in eventually. We can't always be the latest person on the brakes. So yeah, you then, it comes from them thinking, okay, I'm going to pass this person with a slipstream, to thinking, okay, right, now I need to be prepared for when we're going to get to the brakes, because that bit is as important as the slipstream.
And it's satisfying, obviously, when you get it right.
Yeah, absolutely. And I think the big thing is, at the 2 points of the track, let's say into University and into Metropole, if you break just a wheel's distance further, or a bike length longer, then it's amazing how quickly you can't stop. It goes from thinking you're in control to being out of control quite quickly. And it's great when you get it right. It's a big panic when you get it wrong.
And let's not forget, you're a 3-time British champion as well. I mean, you've had unbelievable success in this sport, and people would have understood if you didn't ever want to do the Northwest 200. You had absolutely nothing to prove in this sport. Yeah,
I love the British Championship. I've been racing in that championship since 1999, and I do enjoy racing. I feel there's been a change for myself anyway in the recent years with how the paddock works, and just the rewards that we don't get from the British Championship. And I don't mean that in a bad way. I just think for me, a Northwest 200 trophy is much more rewarding than 12 laps at Alton Park trophy, if that makes sense. For me, it's never been about the money. It's about how I'm rewarded at the end of it. And yes, I've been a British champion 4 times actually.
4 times, sorry.
No, that's fine. It's no problem. And would I give a championship up for a Superbike win, a Super Sport win? I think I would, because that international event, that one time of the year that we all get to ride around the Northwest 200 on a sunny day, is quite special. Sometimes when you finish a British Championship, in October at Brands Hatch and it's raining, and you've done what you've done and you've gave your all for the whole year, and you get a pat on the back and nothing more, and you think, I put a lot into this just for a very small reward. So my what I'm saying is my turn of events has led me to doing more things like this. Visited Imatra in Finland, and competed over there, and a new experience gave me the buzz that I needed, that has made me think, okay, it's not the be all and end all being in the British Championship for a full championship. Yes, I enjoy racing there, but I don't need to be there week in, week out.
And when I hear that explanation, I can understand why you then enjoy winning so much at the Northwest 200, and no doubt you'll be wanting to do that again this May.
Yeah, and I don't doubt that there are going to be people that want it just as much as I want it, and I put my own work in. We all go to the gym, we all do the training, we all come prepared. I sit there, I watch videos of myself, I sit there and watch videos of other people racing. I'm always trying to pick bits out. Yes, I've been quite successful here, but I believe there's still more to learn. We had a fantastic year with the weather last year. It could be the opposite this year. It might throw up some curveballs with the weather. I think if I'm prepared for whatever the occasion might be, then we're going to be ready when it comes to race day.